All right, Eric. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to meet with us today. Really appreciate it.
Glad to do so.
So we just want to get started with a couple of intro questions. So can you tell us a little bit of background on EZFacility?
Sure. EZFacility is a complete business management software. It's primarily in the sports and fitness market. It serves thousands of clients from multi-sport facilities to sports training businesses, personal training businesses, and gyms from large to small. Their main features are membership management, field league and court scheduling. They also do registrations, point of sale, and more.
And how was the idea for EZFacility conceived?
It's actually pretty interesting. My business partner and I had a background in conference room scheduling for businesses that use video conferencing. So it would automatically launch the video calls and schedule the conference rooms. So we took that knowledge, and we had a friend who ran a indoor sports facility, one of those indoor sports domes, and they had no way to schedule their fields and courts. So we took that and we came up with a scheduling solution for them. And eventually that led into getting into the sports industry pretty big. We had a great relationship with U.S. Indoor Soccer at the time. And from there, it really took off. One of our sports clients actually had a need to schedule personal trainers, which we didn't do at the time. So we added some features around that, and that eventually became our gym management software.
So can you walk us through any of the early days of the company? Do you have any interesting stories to share?
Yeah, so we started out in my tiny one bedroom apartment in Long Beach, New York. I had a very patient wife. We had two tiny desks and two small laptops, and it took nearly 2 years to get the company off the ground and running. And that relationship with U.S. Indoor Soccer was really the key to us expanding in that market and eventually getting out of that apartment into an actual office space.
Okay, so let's shift focus now to some more M&A specific questions. So first off, how did you discover Jonas Software?
We had met Jonas various times at different trade shows and events. They came up to our booth and we talked about everything Jonas had to offer, what they do. At the time, we weren't quite ready to look to being acquired, but they were always an interest to us.
So M&A is usually or typically a long-term game. So how did Jonas compare to maybe some of the other acquirers that you were approached?
I would say it was basically the Jonas strategy, the buy and hold, keeping businesses autonomous, their best practices. Those are all big factors when comparing them to others who, a lot of them, at least from what we'd heard, they come in, they flip the business for a profit. And you spend all this time building your baby, and you really care about the future and what's going to happen to it. So that's what always stuck out to us with Jonas.
Okay, so a material part of the purchase price for EZFacility was through an earnout based on post-acquisition performance. So can you elaborate on this point and how it worked out for the company?
Sure. We actually had two targets based off of net revenue for our earnout. So we had a two-stage earnout, and we successfully hit both of those, and we actually hit them early.
How has the acquisition affected the company as a whole?
Well, we not only grew from, I believe we were about 10 employees at the time of acquisition. In, I'd say approximately 4 years, we were up to 40. We also quadrupled our revenue. It definitely opened up more career opportunities, not only for myself, but for the rest of the company. Anytime any sort of challenge would arise, there is always someone at a fellow Jonas company who's been through it or has either made a certain mistake before that we could learn from, or has successfully overcome that challenge and we could learn from that.
It all goes around culture of sharing best practices, right?
Yep.
Okay, so at Jonas, we often talk about our ABC models that you've touched on as differentiators. So we have autonomy, so our decentralized operating model, our buy and hold forever, so it allows us to invest for the long term, and culture of sharing best practices, which is learning from the Jonas or CSI family of software companies. How's your experience aligned with these three differentiators?
I'd say it aligned perfectly, and it really is a true story. As I mentioned before, right, the autonomous model and decentralized model was great and led to a less stressful environment. especially with the stresses going into an acquisition. Life really didn't change much for the employees. The opportunities for career advancement, I think a great example of it is the current president of EZFacility, as I've now moved on to other positions, started as a product trainer within the company 7 years prior. So he worked his way up to actually running the company over a fairly short course of time.
So your career has grown tremendously since EZFacility has been acquired by Jonas. Can you describe or go into detail a little bit about the progression of your role since the acquisition to date?
Sure. So I maintained myself as the president of EZFacility for a few years, and eventually we acquired a great company that manages hockey arenas mostly, named Frontline Solutions. And then we also acquired MyGym, which is a fitness-based app. And both of those were rolled underneath EZFacility to become the EZ Group. So then I was a manager of the EZ Group. And as of 2 years ago, I have become a portfolio manager here at Jonas. And I have 10 different brands under me. And it's really been a great experience, and I look forward to what's next.
What tips and advice would you give to a business owner looking for a potential exit with Jonas?
Definitely have to say it's not all about the number, right? You've likely spent years and countless late nights building up this business, and you want to make sure it's going to continue to thrive. And not only that, I'm sure you want to consider what's the future for your employees. Just with what I've seen with not only EZFacility, but the other companies in my group, that's exactly what has happened. The companies have grown, the staff has grown, the opportunities presented to our employees has just been fantastic.